Deborah Winters right there. Let's hear it for this band. Thank you, boys. Appreciate it. I was telling them earlier that it's like I travel around to so many different churches, and sometimes a song like that, when the band is not as good as them, it sounds like a polka. You know, you kind of know that that's where the train is headed, so just get on and go. So thank you, guys. You're fabulous. Let's give them another round of applause, please. It is so nice to be back here. I used to do every Wednesday night here years and years ago. I loved being here. And it's 10 minutes away from my house. I'm thrilled. So thank you, Deanne, for letting me come. So the Dalai Lama said, "This is my religion. There is no need for temples, no need for complicated philosophy. Our own brain, our own heart is our temple. And that philosophy is kindness." You know, I travel around, I play at all these different churches, and you know, I have all these different talks that I do, but I'll tell you something. The main thing that's been coming up for me is this topic that I want to just keep talking about at every church I go to, because I think it's what's up, kindness. You know who's going through a hard time right now? Everybody! Everybody. We're all going through a hard time. There's like this low hum that's kind of happening in all of our lives. Or is it just me? Y'all having a... It's just like, how do we deal with all that's going on right now? And, you know, the main thing that I feel like is that it comes down to how we start our day. How we start our day. When you wake up in the morning, what are the first words that you say to yourself? Are they kind words? When you open up your little eyes? And then let me ask you another question. When you open up your eyes and you say, "Oh, it's a brand new day, yay, how can I spread my love to the world?" Do you say that? And then you sashay to the bathroom and you look at yourself in the mirror and go, "Oh my God, did you get more beautiful overnight? What's the deal here?" And then do you have a song maybe running through your head? You hear Deborah Winters singing to you, "You are so beautiful to me." Or do you hear Linda Ronstadt saying, "You're no good, you're no good, you're no good, baby." And then she goes, "I'm going to say it again, you're no good." So what do you have as the running theme going through each day? Do you hear "you're no good," or do you hear "you're beautiful"? Do you hear loving thoughts? Do you know we have 60,000 thoughts a day? How many of them are positive? How many of them do you wake up and really say, "This is going to be a good day. I'm doing the best I can. Life is kind of crazy. How can I be gentle with myself?" You know, sometimes I think it's really important to just go, "Good morning, little one. How are you today? You're doing very good." And you give yourself a little hug. Do you know of all the songs I've written, the number one song on my little Spotify list is "I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child." And the bridge says, "I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will be easy on myself." I mean, why is that my number one song? Because that's what we all need to hear. You know, lighten up, be gentle with yourself. Because the truth of the matter is, when you're gentle with yourself, when you're kind to yourself, when you're compassionate to yourself, guess what? You know, you can be that with other people. You can see that with other people. So I'm here to just remind you of everything you already know, but maybe you're not putting into practice every day. And you're a little reminder bunny. The Dalai Lama said, "Kindness doesn't just help others, it helps us too. It fuels us, soothes us, and reminds us that people are good." I'll repeat that last line. It reminds us that people are actually good, because the best in us brings out the best in others. So spread a little love today, not just because the world needs it, but because you need it too. You know, when I stand in line sometimes at Starbucks, my personal church, you know, I'll say to the person behind me, hey, how you doing today? And we're so used to just going, oh, I'm fine, everything's great. And that's as far as we go. But you know, one of the reasons why I love doing women's retreats is I set up a container with every retreat that it's like you can say exactly how you feel. And no one's gonna rescue you, and no one's gonna say, oh, we'll go and have coffee for 30 minutes and you know, you can tell me everything. They're just gonna say this to you. I see you and I hear you. You could say anything. I'm really feeling sad today. I'm overwhelmed today. I don't know what I'm doing today. I see you and I hear you. Isn't that like the best gift that you can give anyone, that they're seen and heard? Fast little story. I heard this story about that there was this woman on a plane, and the guy across the aisle was just being really just in a bad mood, and he started yelling at the flight attendant. And this woman, she was an older woman, she turns to the person next to her and she said, he's not upset about his seat. He's upset because no one's seeing him or hearing him. And it turns out she was a principal of a school for 40 years. And she said, of all the kids that I saw that would come through my school, I would always know the ones that were going to make it in life and the ones who weren't. And it had nothing to do with grades. It came down to, what was that kid like when no one was around to watch them do a kindness to somebody? If there was another kid in the hallway and they did something nice to them, but there was no one to observe it, as opposed to the kid that always did any acts of kindness in front of the teachers or the parents or whatever to get that approval. So she said, whenever you can do an act of kindness that has nothing to do with anybody seeing you, that's the juicy. So there was a story about Stephen Covey, this author that was on a subway train in Manhattan. And this guy sat next to him, and he'd come on the train after Stephen had sat there, and he came on with his kids, and his kids were being really rambunctious, and they're running all around, and they're just making all this havoc. And people kept looking at Stephen like, well, do something. The guy sitting next to you, do something. And finally, he just says to the guy, oh, God, I'm sorry to disturb you, but, you know, could you do something about your kids? You know, they're really disturbing everybody. And he looks up at him and he goes, oh, I'm so sorry. We just came from the hospital where their kids lost their mother, lost my wife. And we're all having our own process in trying to figure this out. He goes, I'm so sorry. Now, what do you think happened to him in that moment? Like that, his heart just opens wide. I'm so sorry to hear that. What can I do for you? How can I help you? And his compassion is just huge for this man. And doesn't that happen to all of us? If we know the story behind how people act, we have that compassion. But when we don't know and we make those fast judgments, you know, that's when you go into judgmental behavior, that you don't talk to them, you don't really see them. But when we know, I mean, let's face it, if each of us stood up and told our stories, we would just like bow at your feet for what you've gone through in your life. You know, the good parts, the bad parts, all of that. It's having compassion, having that open heart. I mean, let's face it, if someone fell down in front of you, you wouldn't all of a sudden go to reach for them and go, oh, wait, are you a Democrat or a Republican? Are you Trump? What is your story there? You wouldn't do that. So I have a wacky thing I want to ask you to do. I believe that when we can do daily kindnesses, not only to ourselves, as I said, we start with ourselves, but to other people, it makes us feel better. Like the Dalai Lama said, it's for us, it makes you feel better. So I want you to do something radical. I want you to take out your cell phones. Take out your cell phones. If you don't have a cell phone today, you can do this when you get home. But I want you to take your cell phone out, and I want you to text someone in your life that you just want to just say, I'm thinking about you. Happy Sunday. Let's get together sometime. Whatever. And if you don't have a cell phone or you don't want to do this, maybe call them later or send them an email later today. So I went to a church recently, and everyone kept coming up to me going, "Oh my God, you've got to meet Margaret. She's 95 years old, and she's got to tell you about her little spiritual practice she does." So Margaret does this every morning. She has 20 people on her list, and she calls each person up early morning. They all said to me, "You just know that you don't pick up your phone in the morning because it's Margaret calling you." And she sings my songs to them. So the phone rings, and she goes, "Thank you for this day, Kelly. Thank you for this day." And she'll just sing my little songs, and that's her practice every morning. 20 people. So think about that. What would happen if you just every day just picked one person out of your life? I'm thinking about you. I'll give you a moment to do this. So here's another quote for you that I love. Try to make at least one person happy every day. And then, in 10 years, you may have made 3,650 people happy or brightened up a small town by your contribution to the funds of general enjoyment. Isn't that great? One person happy a day. But it starts with you. That's why I wanted to sing I Choose, because every day it's your opportunity to choose how you want to be. You know, and when you're focused on your problems, when you're focused on yourself, what happens? Your limitation, your sight goes like this. You don't see other people. But when you give to yourself, when you fill up your well, you've got more to give. So I love this. I love the concept of this line, and I'm really trying to have this be one of my main mantras in my life. If you see something, say something. Now what that means is, you know, you associate that with the TSA thing, that if you see something suspicious in the airport, say something. But I'm going to reframe that and say, if you see something that touches your heart, take the time to say something about it. Go up to that person. It could be the smallest thing. You look nice today, whatever it is. If you see something, say something. You know, I take a morning walk, and this just happened last week, that there's this beautiful garden, and I'm walking by every day, and I was walking by this garden, and I came back on this day because the person was watering, and I went, "Oh, I've just got to tell you, I walk by your garden every day. It's beautiful." And all of a sudden, her eyes got like all teary. I went, "Oh, I'm sorry, what did I say?" And she said, "Thank you for saying that. This is my mother's garden, and she passed away last year, and every time I come out here and water and make this garden flourish like what she would have wanted, it makes me feel like I'm with her. Thank you for that." And then at Christmas, there was a guy taking down all his Christmas lights, and he had this, I would come down this hill, and you would see on his roof, I don't know what he had to do this, he had these lights going to the chimney going, "Santa, come here first." What it took to do that, I have no idea. But same thing, I was driving by, I saw him taking the lights down, and I thought, "No, Drucker, here's one of those things, go back." So I backed up, and I said, "Excuse me, I just have to tell you, I love your lights. They make me so happy. It's like Christmas is here whenever I see your lights." And he said, "Thank you so much. It's like my family thinks I'm insane." Like, "Why do you do this?" And I said, "Well, you're making me happy." And he goes, good enough for me." And I drove off. But what does it make me feel? It makes me feel good. So I was on a Southwest Airlines flight, and I was in the coveted A position. So I'm standing at the front, and I'm noticing this situation that's happening. And I'm the only person, I think, that's observing this, because everybody else is in their cell phones, you know, doing this. Oh, wait, do I have my little quote? I have to show you my little quote about cell phones. I love this quote. "In the not-too-distant future, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook will merge to form one giant, idiotic, supersized, time-wasting, non-productive, time-stealing, mind-numbing, do-not-need-to-know website called YouTwitFace." I love that. I love my cell phone, I really do, but it cracks me up. You know, when you travel, it's like everyone's just into their cell phones. It always makes me laugh, because I will have someone sitting, you know, I'll be in my seat and someone's about to sit down, and I go, "Oh, hi, how are you? Nice to see you." And you see this look of like total panic come over them, like, oh my God, if I talk to you and say hello, you're going to talk to me for 3 hours. And I always wanted to say to them, I'm just saying hello, get over it. Anyway, so I'm standing there, I'm noticing this situation where this guy is taking his elderly mother to the front of the, to hand her off to the flight attendant. And she looks like she has dementia or something like that. And, I've been there with my parents. I know what that's like to just have that anxiety of like, ugh. And so, he hands her off and she's just kind of standing there and I see him walk away and he keeps looking back like this, like, is she gonna be okay? And I just, somehow, my energy he must have felt my energy because I just said, oh, I'll look after her, don't worry about it. And he goes, thank you. So now we get to our destination. And I'm walking up, I always want to call it a gangplank, but the jetway, that you walk up to, and she's standing at the top there, and she's looking really confused, like where to go. And obviously the person who is picking her up can't come and get her. So I come to her and goes, hi, excuse me, my name's Karen, and I'll take you to the person who's picking you up if you want. And she looks at me and she goes, oh, Karen, you look fabulous. Have you lost weight? Yeah, thanks so much for noticing. And so, anyway, so I take her to her little place here, and, I see the other brother that's obviously picking her up, and he's looking all anxious like this. And I take her and I go, here, I just kind of hand her off. And she says, oh, well, this is Karen. She's going to be spending the weekend with us. It's like, no, I'm good. There you go. But the point is, one of the things that I do whenever I travel, but I actually try and do this every day, is I ask myself, just be present. Just be present so that I can see, that I can hear, that I can feel what's happening around me, that I can know what's going on. And so in that case of that woman, it made me feel better. I mean, I've even had it at Starbucks where I offer to pay for someone's coffee, and I had this woman who got so agitated with me. She was like, well, why are you going to pay? I just said, here, let me pay for your coffee today because, it's what I do. And she goes, well, why would you pay for me? I'm fine. Give it to someone who needs it. And I'm like, whatever. And so, but finally I just said to her, look, this is what I do. I'd really appreciate it. It's kind of one of my little things that I do. And she goes, great, fine, whatever. So now we're waiting for our little drinks. We're standing there and I'm going, oh God, why did I do this? This was so stupid. And it's just really uncomfortable. But then she turns to me and she said, no one ever does this for me. I went, well, thank you for letting me do this for you. And there was a more awkward silence. And then she goes, so is this one of those pay it forward kind of things? And I'm like, whatever. But, the thing is, you never know where your kindness could land with someone. Who knows? Maybe she did pay it forward. Maybe it touched her heart in some way. I mean, I even had one time when I was at Costco, was standing in front of the toilet paper, and my mother had just recently passed. And if you've been in grief before, it's like these waves that come up. And it's like, oh God, why is it happening now in Costco? But all of a sudden the wave comes up and I can't run out and start to cry. So I just put my head down and I'm just crying. I just have to let it just be there. And all of a sudden I feel this hand on my shoulder. And I was so in it at that moment, I didn't acknowledge, I just felt this person putting their hand on my shoulder. And when the wave passed, I looked around and they were nowhere to be found. But in that moment, that person did exactly what I'm talking about. I feel you. I've been there too. I'm there for you. Just putting a hand out. Sometimes that's all we need to do, is just put a hand out. Just say, what can I do? What can I do for you? What do you need? And it doesn't have to be that you take on their problems. It doesn't have to be that you all of a sudden become their therapist. What do you need? I'm here for you. End of discussion. So one of the things that I do these days to deal with the wackadoodle times that we're living in is I collect quotes that make me happy. that keep me remembering that there is good. And I collect pictures, but quotes. Let me give you this quote. From Anne Frank, this line, despite everything, I believe that people are really good at heart. That's Anne Frank, that they're good at heart. And no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. No matter how small. What do you need? I'm here. So I collect pictures. Can I show you a few of my pictures that I have on my altar? So can we do those pictures, darling? Thank you. So let me show you these. So let me tell you fast little stories about each of these. So in this small town in the East Coast, this elderly man was noticing, he would look out his window in the morning, he'd see these kids coming to school without any coats. And it was a town that didn't have a lot of money. You know, people were not wealthy there. And he started to do this thing in the middle of the night. He would go and put these coats up on the fence by the school. And these kids started to come by and take the coats, because it said free, take it. And they would start to take the coats. And it became this thing that nobody knew who was doing this, because every night those new coats would be there. And this man later died, and his son, when he was cleaning out his apartment, found all these receipts from thrift stores, from mail catalogs, from all these different places that he had been doing this. He'd been buying these coats for these kids for years, and he was on a pension. He hardly had any money, but this is what he did. And so he was known in the town after that as the king of coats. Next slide. I love this. So this is a town in Denmark where, you know, one of the things that's so amazing right now is loneliness is one of the biggest things that's going on in our world. Isn't that amazing? With all the people that we have in this world, loneliness is one of the biggest things. So in Denmark, they started to do this thing called a slow checkout line. So for anyone who felt like they needed connection with people, you would go to this line over here, and the checker would say, "How are you, Mrs. Smith? What's going on?" as she's taking your groceries slowly. And all the people in line would know they're in the slow checkout line, and they'd all start talking to each other and become friends. There are now 200 of these slow grocery lines happening in Denmark. Could you imagine that happening in our country? But I will tell you one other fast little thing. I found out about that this man was concerned about his mother, who was really lonely. No, she was a grandmother. And she just wanted to just talk to people. So he made this lemonade stand kind of thing in Central Park. You can Google this. This is a true story. That he made this little thing, like a lemonade stand, saying grandma's advice. And she would just sit there all day, and people would line up to talk to her and get advice from grandma. And the son said it added years to her life, because all of a sudden she had a purpose. People would line up and talk about all these things, 10-year-olds, older people, whatever. You know, what do I do with my life? Well, honey, let me tell you what you should do. Anyway, slow checkout lines, it's an idea. Okay, let's go to the next one. So here's another thing. Here's a restaurant that you would buy lunch for people. You could just buy a lunch and you'd stick it up on this board here, and if you're hungry and have no money, these meals have already been paid for you in advance. Isn't that lovely? You know, it was a restaurant. I just found this was just a restaurant on the East Coast, but don't you think we could use more of that? You know, I used to love when I would go across the Golden Gate Bridge that I'd pay for the person behind me. That would be kind of one of my little spiritual practices, some of you too. But then I got to a point where the person wanted to thank me so much that they'd like speed up behind me and like practically run me off the road. And I'm like, I'm good, don't kill me. Okay, just paid for you, I'm good. So But yeah, I'm so depressed, we can't do that anymore. Anyway, that's a whole other story. So, and here's another, give me the next slide. So this is a picture of this woman who was in first place in this marathon. First place in the marathon. And she saw this man who couldn't get his own water. He was having a hard time getting water. And she came back, she circled back around and gave him water and stayed with him for the rest of the race. When she came in second, all the reporters ran up and said, "Oh my God, why did you do that? You could have been first." And she said, "Because that's what we do. We help each other. That's what we do." So I think do you have one more slide? I think you do. Yes, I love it. And this is what I mean by it can be the smallest act and an anonymous act. This is a random act of kindness. Your snack is on me, just putting $1 in the vending machine. Saying, "Here, do this," anonymously. So, think about what you can do. What is the smallest act you can do that could be kind, that makes you feel good about yourself? Thank you for doing those for me. So the thing I want to say, I choose. Every day, I choose the path of kindness. And there are going to be days where you're just not there. You're like, "I don't care. I just don't care." It's fine. Let it be okay. But just be gentle with yourself and know what it is that you want to do. Know what it is that you're choosing to be kind. But the one thing I want to leave you with here is this idea that kindness, you have to be vulnerable to put your hand out, don't you? You don't know what you're going to get. Which, by the way, I want to tell you now, I thank you all before I'm going to do this, and then I'll sing a little song with Deborah here, but I've already gotten my acknowledgement today because I've seen this from a few people, and I've heard that, and now I've done my job, thank you. But I just want to make the point of when you do an act of kindness, it's so vulnerable because you don't know how it's going to land. But that's the choice that we make, that I'd rather be putting my hand out than having it in a fist. I'd rather be vulnerable and run the risk of someone not returning my kindness. I want to show up. Years ago I wrote a song, "Hold on to love, hold on to truth, look for the good and then praise it. I'll dance in the light, turn away from the dark, and I'm going to hold on to love." I want to hold on to that love. I want to keep putting myself out there no matter what. No matter, even if I have a judgment, I want to keep putting myself out there. So I found this story that I just love to tell because it's just so sweet. And it's so much what I think we go through when we're making that decision of like, oh, do I say something? There was a man who was having lunch in a restaurant, and he was sitting at this booth, and he noticed this older woman coming and sitting in the booth next to him. And she was an older woman, and she was all coiffed with her little hair, and she had a little carnation in her, her little blue suit. And she sat down, and he immediately had this idea that he wanted to say something to her. But just as he was getting up, all of a sudden her family and the grandkids and everybody came, and they were sitting down, and they just, he thought, okay, I'm not going to do anything. So he had his lunch, and as he was leaving, he walked by the table, and just as I said about backing up my car, he walked away, and then he felt this little tap on his shoulder, or maybe it's a feeling in your stomach that you get, where he heard this voice that just said, "Go back, go back." And he was like, "Oh, I don't want it." He was kind of wrestling with it, but he just heard this voice, "Go back." So he took a deep breath. He went back to the table. He bent down. He said, "Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt your lunch." But he addressed the woman, and he said, "I just have to tell you something. That suit is just beautiful, and it makes your eyes look so blue, and you just look really beautiful today. You just are sparkling." And he said, "That's all I wanted to say. Thanks so much." And he starts to walk away, and she goes, "Oh, no, come back." She said, "I know you." And he said, "Oh, no, we've never met before. I just wanted to just tell this to you." She goes, "No, I know you. My family is celebrating the 1-year anniversary of my husband's death. And they're celebrating that I made it, that I'm here. And what you said is exactly what my husband would have said to me. Exactly what he would have said to me. So thank you. We never know. We never know what kindness, what small kindness, just being there for someone, putting out your hand, can make the difference. So I want to challenge you this week to do something kind. Anything. Leave it on a doorstep. Send it anonymously. Slip it into a pocket without a note. Choose something where you know with reasonable certainty that no one will ever find out that it was you. Then watch what happens to your little heart. So Deborah, would you come sing this with me? We're going to end with a little meditation song that once again clarifies the concept of how it starts. Wait a minute. Just get the, oh no. So take a deep breath. I'll teach this to you and you can sing this softly with us, but I'll sing it to you first. So think about, if you would, put your hand over your heart and give this to yourself first. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. So take a deep breath. So direct that love to yourself and sing that with us. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be well. May I be peaceful. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. Take a deep breath. Now think about someone in your life. Put them in your mind's eye. Someone that you care about. Say, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be well, peaceful. May you be peaceful and at ease. And may you be happy. Oh, we're going to challenge you now. I want you to think about someone you have a little issue with. Just someone who might trigger you a little bit. And to the extent that you can open your heart to them without that judgment, say, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well, peaceful. May you be peaceful and at ease. And may you be happy. Now I want you to open up your eyes. I want you to look around at this congregation. This is your tribe, you know. And I want you to put your hands up like this and say, may we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be well. Peaceful. May we be peaceful and at ease. And may we be happy. You can look around at everyone. Just kind of give them a little smile. Now put your hands back over your heart and say, I am filled. I am filled with loving kindness. I am well. I am well. I am peaceful. I am peaceful and at ease. And I am happy. Just that last line, I am happy. And I am happy. And you're allowed to smile if you want. And I am happy. So be kind to yourself. Be kind to the people that you love. Be kind to the world. because we need all hearts on deck these days. And so it is.